Hey guys, I'm Tyler Kopstock and welcome to my channel. I represent Frontline Academy and I'm a student under Eduardo Teta Rios. I'm a full-time Jiu-Jitsu athlete and instructor, and I created this page to share my techniques, training, and Jiu-Jitsu journey with you. Feel free to like and subscribe, and welcome to the family. Os. Hey guys, welcome to another week here at the beginner's course, and we're gonna keep going with the close guard here with some basic techniques. So we're gonna go through the Kimura and the hip bump sweep today. So this is perhaps something really nice to start with as a beginner. I feel like the Kimura is simple and easy to understand. If this is your first lesson in Jiu-Jitsu, then it's like a perfect move to teach, right? So close guard, we've been talking about this before. I want to be active with my hips. I'm not going to be lazy here and keeping my hips on the ground. I'm going to bring them up here so I can control his posture. And in this case, we're always going to see a fight with the hands here, right? So watch how Christian is automatically posting on my body, or let's say he's trying to do last week's move where he's grabbing my sleeve and he's so controlling it and he's trying to stand up, right? My fight now is just to break his posture, and we're going to do it really simple here. So I'm going to be swinging my hands on the inside here. So we're just going to turn so you guys can see. So super easy. He's posting his hands on my belly here or my ribs. So I'm just going to swing my hands under, right? And as I push his hands to the side, I'm going to bring him down by using my hips to pull him down towards me. Wow. Okay. So as you can see, he's posting his hands on the floor here. This is totally natural, and this is going to happen most likely every time, okay? So I'm going to choose a side. I'm going to grab his wrist with the same side, same arm, okay? And what you're going to notice is that when I grab it like this, my arm is not straight, okay? So what I want to do, I want to create a frame where my arm is straight. So to do that, I'm going to move myself a little bit to the side here and straighten my arm, okay? Now I can push it a little bit further, okay? Watch how his shoulder is much lower than if his hand was super close here, okay? This is gonna be hard for me to do a sit-up and get over, okay? So I wanna make sure his hand is as far out as possible because now his shoulder is super low, okay? So now I'm gonna start coming up. So you don't have to hold the close guard if you feel like it's super hard, but now I'm trying to come up and bring my armpit, my right armpit over his shoulder here, okay? So I'm really trying to come up and grab. Turn. So here, I'm really trying to grab his arm as deep as possible here, okay? So if I can catch with my forearm behind his tricep here and really get tight, now it's perfect because most of the time, maybe you could grab your wrist straight away, but sometimes it's gonna be harder, especially if he's a bigger opponent. You might wanna be just grabbing his arm here and pull it down with you, okay? Now, it's easier for me to grab my own wrist here, okay? So, coming here again, let's say if he's posting on my belly, I'm gonna swim on the inside, make him post on the floor, grab his wrist, push it a little bit further, and sit up, okay? I'm gonna go with my arm around behind his tricep and keep it tight to me, okay? If I could connect my hands like on my wrist here, that's perfect. But he's a little bit bigger, so it's hard for me to do it. Now I'm gonna pull him down with me, so I'm using my momentum backwards to pull him down with me here, okay? Grab my own wrist, and now I want to change the angle a little bit, okay? So if I'm just pulling his arm this way, he might resist, and he's pretty strong in this position. But as soon as I turn myself a little bit to the side, so I'm using my right thigh against his thigh to push myself in almost like a 90-degree angle out from his body, and now I can push his wrist up towards his neck here. Nice and easy. And be gentle because your partner might not know when to tap either, right? So here, swimming on the inside, making him post. I'm gonna make his post go a little bit further out so his shoulder gets low. Come up, grab behind his tricep here, pull him down, and connect my hands. Go to the side, and now I'm gonna slowly push his wrist up, okay? I always like to bend his arm here, right? This what you're gonna notice if his arm is totally straight, this is gonna make it really hard for you to finish the Kimura here, okay? So you wanna make sure you're really pushing his wrist in. And a very common beginner mistake, or how should I say, it's intuitive, right? You use only your arms here, right? And the problem with that is that your arms can only be so strong. But when you tighten your elbows to your body and you really try to use your whole torso to twist and turn, that's when you're going to be really strong. Okay? One last time. So swimming. Oh. There we go. Yes. Okay guys, so we're going to go a little bit further here into the hip bump sweep. So this is a very basic sweep to learn from the same scenario that we just went through. And starting from the close guard again, what happens a lot is that as I'm going for Kimura, and let's say I try to go with my hand behind here, he's going to be posturing up because he knows that if I get my arm behind here, it's going to be trouble, right? I still have my hand on his wrist now, but what I'm going to do now is going to move this hand out behind me, okay? This is a little bit of a momentum move, right? So if he's already moved all the way back, it's a little bit too late for me to go because now he can just post on me and push me away. So I have to read the guy, and let's say I moved his hands to the side, came up, that's my cue, okay? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to block his elbow here with this hand. So the hand I used to go behind, I'm going to block his elbow and prevent him from posting his hand on the floor here, okay? Because I want to sweep him towards you guys, okay? So watch how I'm posting my hand on the floor now and not my elbow, okay? So I want to get really high by posting my hand on the floor, and I'm going to put my feet down as well, okay? A little trick here is to point your toes in the same direction where you're going to sweep, okay? So don't point them straight forward, point them a little bit to the side here, okay? Now, I want to hip thrust up and bring him to the side here. So controlling this elbow here, I'm going to lift my hips up and turn him over to the side and get them on position, okay? So that was a really slow-mo version. So here, I'm going to come up as soon as he's pulling back up. I'm coming up as well, okay? Push with my hips and then come up all the way. One more time, or a couple of more times. So here. Yeah, let's change the angle. Okay, so here, starting with the same thing, I want them to post, right? Coming up, you come up, there we go. So he's pulling me up here. I'm gonna go for the sweep, over, okay? Just one time behind, or without Christian here. So I'm coming up, feet on the floor, all the way up, and then over, okay? Of course, you might realize, let's say I'm a 50-kilo guy, Christian is a 100-kilo guy. There is a little limit to this technique, of course. You might just be pushed down again, okay? But if you're fighting in your own weight category, it should be fine. One more time. Boom. Here. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, I hope you enjoyed it. And please like and subscribe. Hey guys, welcome to another week here at the beginners class. And today we're going to go through some close guard basics. Kimura, this is like a super nice move to learn, especially if this is your first class, that would be perfect. And we're going to do a little bit of a sweep there, hip bump sweep from the same situation, same scenario, right? So starting from the close guard here, and like I've talked about before, you always want to be active with your hips. You don't want to be too lazy here, falling down, and then it's going to be easy for him to keep the good posture, right? So I'm always going to keep my hips up here, and now if I want to bring them down, I'm going to bring him with me, okay? So watch how Christian is already posting his hands on my belly here or on my ribs, and this is going to make it hard for me to pull him down here, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to swim my hands on the inside here. So we're just going to turn the angle a little bit so you guys can see. So I'm putting my hands under, and I'm going to swim them on the inside. As I do so, I'm going to bring him down to me with my hips here, okay? Suddenly his posture is super low, and I'm going to choose a side here to grab his wrist, okay? Now that I've grabbed his wrist, I just want to make sure I have a really straight arm here. So let's say if his arm was this close, right? And I don't have a straight arm and I don't have a strong arm here, okay? So what I want to do is I want to move my hips to the side here, or move myself to the side here, so that I can straighten my arm and maybe even push his arm a little bit further. What this does is that it brings his shoulder even further down and closer to me, because if his shoulder is too far away, suddenly I have to do extra work to get up, okay? But as soon as his arm is, or his shoulder, I mean, is super close, now it's such an easy path over his shoulder, and I can easily access it, okay? So, turning back here, so you guys can see what I do with the arm. Okay, so I'm here right now, and I'm still grabbing his wrist. I'm on my elbow. I got up, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that I really get tight around his upper arm here, okay? I'm going to bring my forearm behind his tricep and bring it tight to me, okay? Sometimes I can connect my hands and grab my wrist straight away from here, but sometimes the guy is a little bit bigger or has longer arms than me, so I don't reach my own wrist like this, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring his shoulder down with me. So I'm going to take my post with my elbow away and then pull him down as I fall, okay? So watch how I brought his wrist off the floor now, and I'm going to connect my hands by grabbing my own wrist here, okay? So when I grab my wrist, I'm going to turn myself a little bit to the side, so I'm almost like 90 degrees out from his body. And now I can push his wrist up towards his neck and gently crack it, especially if he's new, then you want to make sure that he knows when to tap, right? So, here, so, swinging my hands, I brought him down, he's posting his hands on the floor. I want to make sure I really get his shoulder close to me, so I'm going to push his wrist out, okay? Sit up, grab behind his tricep, pull him down, connect my hands, out to the side. Now, watch how I don't want his arm to straighten out like this. Now it's going to be really hard for me to finish. I might have to transition to a different submission, okay? So now I want to make sure I bend his wrist or bend his elbow here. So I'm pushing his wrist in. And I'm going to now, from the bent position, push his wrist up towards his neck here, okay? So, boom. And there we have the Kimura, right? Okay guys, so we're gonna go a little bit further here and we're gonna do the hip bump sweep. So same scenario where I try to go for the Kimura perhaps first, and a very natural reaction from Christian here is that he's gonna posture up and try to prevent me from catching his arm, right? So, what? Same position, I try to go up, and yes, watch how he's pulling himself up here, okay? And when I already have my arm around his shoulder, he's gonna pull me with him. This is perfect, okay? What I want to make sure of now is that I'm blocking this arm here from posting out on the floor, okay? So I want to make sure I'm bringing this tight to me and preventing that from happening, as well as I'm not on my elbow. I'm trying to come up all the way on my hand here, so I really get high and tall, right? So now I'm gonna put my feet on the floor here, okay? So with my feet on the floor, I can now thrust my hips up, and I'm gonna point my toes a little bit to the same side that I'm sweeping here, okay? So pointing my toes to the side, I'm gonna bring my hips up and sweeping over, okay? So timing it a little bit, right? So I'm here going for the Kimura, he postures up, and that's when I go up and go for the sweep, okay? So a little bit of action reaction here. Boom. And go for the sweep, right? So let's do it from a different angle. Maybe behind, is that a good idea? Boom. And we have the hip bump sweep, right? So combining these two is super smart, and what you'll feel is when you're threatened with a hip bump sweep and they defend it, they might give you the Kimura. Yeah, when they defend the Kimura, they might give you the hip bump sweep. So they go in nicely with each other, right? Well, thank you guys for watching, and as always, I hope you enjoyed it, and please like and subscribe.